Hi everyone, welcome to JavaTechie. As you know, Apache Kafka run in a distributed manner across multiple containers or machines. It is also crucial to address the errors and recover the data in the event of failure. Sometimes what happens when a producer sends a messages and we process that message from the Kafka topic, error can occur. For instance, consumer services or related infrastructure such as database connections might be unavailable during that period. So in that case, there is a risk of losing any events sent or received due to the failure. So here, what we want to ensure, we don't lose any data and try to handle the failed messages. That's the challenging part, isn't it? But don't worry, in this tutorial, I will be explaining different way to handle errors in Kafka. Okay, alright. So without any further delay, let's get started. Let me walk you through an use case. Consider a scenario where you are processing financial transaction. If a transaction fails to be processed due to some temporary issue, then how will you handle it? Because here we want to ensure reliable message processing. So what we will do here, we will instruct Kafka to retry the failed event. Now what Kafka will does here, he will simply reattempt process the messages multiple times as per your configuration. For example, if you set the retry count to 4, Kafka will make 3 retry attempts in a sequential order because it follows n-1 order. Okay, so if you specify 4 times to retry, Kafka will do 3 times. So that is how you need to decide what number you need to set for retry attempt. Next, if the process succeed within these retries, that's excellent. However, if the retry count is exceeded, then the message will be directed to the dead letter topic, okay, or the messages will be routed to the DLT. Now you might have a question, hey, what is DLT? DLT stands for dead letter topic, which is nothing but creating a new failure topic to store all the failed messages or all the failed events. If a consumer is not able to process messages even after retry, then those unprocessed messages will push to this particular dead letter topic. Okay. Now since you have failed records with you in a topic, subsequently you can monitor them to identify and investigate further. So this mechanism ensures that no data is lost. In the event of failure, we still retain the ability to handle and manage those failed messages, right? So this is the simple way to ensure that there is no data is lost and reliable message processing. So let's quickly see this in action. Let's go to our IntelliJ idea. Since already you discussed how to produce and consume messages using Kafka, so I have not wasting the time and I have created a project already. So if you check here, I have a publisher and I have a consumer. If you are not aware about how to play with the PubSub using Kafka, you can check out my playlist Kafka for beginners from my YouTube. I will also share the link in video description for your reference. Okay. Now let's jump into the code and try to understand what PubSub we are doing in this particular example. Let's go to the publisher. Publisher is the simple thing. What we are doing here, we are taking the user object as input and we are publishing it to the Kafka. Fine. Now if you will open this particular user object, we have couple of fields called ID, first name, last name, email, gender and IP address. Now let's go to the consumer. What exact action we are doing in the consumer? If I'll open the consumer, we are simply taking that input, user input what we received from our topic. Then I'm just adding one validation here to simulate the error scenario. I have just added this restriction. Okay. So as part of the user, you can see there is a IP address. So when I will receive any user request or when I will consume any event specific to the user, I will validate that okay, if user is giving any of the IP specified in this particular list, then I will not allow that user to process further. Okay, so I have just added a simple if clause to check if the address, if the list contains the address, then throw some simple exception to just simulate the error scenario. Okay, now what I'll do, let's simply run this particular use case, then we'll find out what is the problem with this particular implementation, then we'll go with the solution. So first I need to start the zookeeper, start it. Then let me simply start the Kafka server, just enter it. So here my zookeeper and Kafka server both are up and running. To validate that, what I'll do, I'll go to this offset. Yeah, if I'll open this, I can able to make the connection. Okay, great. So this is the tool to visualize your Kafka payload from the producer end, and you can find the consumer related stuff as well. Okay, everything I have covered in my Kafka playlist. You can take a look to that particular videos. All good. Now let's start our application. So in config we have defined to create the topic. Can you see here? We have the topic name, and here we are saying to create the topic with 3 partition, and the topic name is defined in this application.properties file. Fine. So let's see the log. Can you see here? JavaTechie group, that is what my consumer group partition assigned to. Since we have created topic with the 3 partition, you can see each and every partition here, right? 1, 2. So now just let's test our PubSub flow. So we have defined a controller class here. Here if you observe, we have an endpoint called publish new, where we are just giving a user object, and it will call our publisher to publish the event to the topic. Okay, then our consumer will listen to that particular topic and will do the steps mentioned here. That's fine. Just go to the postman. I'll give some valid input first. So let me send the request. Message published successfully. Now if you'll validate in your console, can you observe here? This is the log from producer. Okay, the messages is pushed to offset 0, and this is the log from the consumer. Can you see here? 235. Let's change the name to Basant, then last name something Uta, and give some random email ID. ID will be 2. Now let me send the request. The message published successfully. Again, if you check in your log, the second record with ID 2 from the producer log, and this is what the messages log from the consumer. Okay, it read from the offset 1 and also the offset 1 in the producer. This is the happy scenario, right? It is working as expected. Now let me clear this. Let me give some IP address which is specified here. Let me just change in the request body. Now if I'll send the request, let's see what will be the result. Message published successfully. Producer is successfully able to publish the message to the topic. Now the validation is there in our consumer, right? So what is the result here? Invalid IP address received. That is what we are expecting here, right? We are expecting to get the exception and we are getting it. Now what is the problem here? There is nothing, right? What is the problem here? The simple thing is that the record which we are not processed, if we will not take a look into it, there could be a chance for data lost, right? The record which we just received and what just we validate, that we need to take care of it. We need to reattempt, because see, here I am just added the if statement and throwing the exception. But let's assume from this piece of code it is connecting to the DB. or it is connecting to the AWS S3. Okay, in that case, if that particular server is down and your request is not able to process, then that is the wrong practice, right? Because you completely lost that input what you received from your producer because of your AWS failure or because of your DB failure. Since this is the simple scenario, it's fine, we are just throwing the exception. Okay, but still we are losing that particular event or messages and we are not doing anything with that. So what we need to do, as per the presentation what we understand, we need to keep a retry. We need to tell to the Kafka, hey, can you please retry for 2 or 3 times? That is what the number I will tell to you. Once Kafka will do the retry, if within that time period, I mean, let's say I have defined for 3, if after 3 times reattempt, if it is able to resolve the issue, then well and good. If not, if the retry count exceed, then it will simply push that failed event or failed messages to date later topic. Okay, that is what we just need to tell to the Kafka. So you need to tell to the Kafka about the retry, and if retry count exceed, then push the messages to the DLT so that we have a copy of our failed messages or failed events. So in future we can investigate it and we can reprocess it if required. Fine. So just go back to the code. Now here let me stop the server. So what you can do here, simply you can tell to the Kafka by defining one annotation, retriable topic. Okay, here you can tell to the Kafka how many attempts you want to perform. So you can define, I want to retry 4 times. So by default attempt count is 3. If you will not specify any attempt, Kafka will do 3 times attempt. Now since I have defined the 4, Kafka will do 4 times attempt. I mean, to the same consumer will be keep executing for 4 times. Okay. So what will happen? Internally Kafka will create 3 topic, just appending the suffix with retry. Okay, each topic will retry once. Since we have defined, there will be 3 times retries attempt. Okay, because as I mentioned, it will work on n minus 1 order. Okay, we'll test in a moment. Now what next? We are saying to the Kafka by defining this particular annotation, please enable retry mechanism for me and I want to perform 4 times retry. Okay, now after 4 times retry, if the issue is not resolved, what do you want to perform? We want to simply push that messages to dead letter topic, right? So for that what you can do, simply you can define a method public, then just copy the same header because the event is same, just define here. Now simply just add a log statement dot info and just define some messages. Just add some meaningful messages. Now what we have defined here, we are just saying what is the body and what is the topic from where we are listening and what is the offset count. Okay, so I can capture the entire body, but better to simplify the log statement, I'll just capture the name, then topic. So this looks good. Now what next? We need to annotate this method with DLT handler, dead letter topic and handler. This is what the annotation. If you will open this annotation, this is the empty one. Fine. So using this annotation, we can able to enable DLT logic for failure message based on our Kafka topic. Okay. So using this annotation, this will listen all the failed messages. So looks good. Now let me start the application. So it started. If you observe the console log carefully, see here JavaTechie group DLT. This is the topic name. Partition assigned this. And since as I already mentioned, for if you specify the retry count, for example, go here, retry count, if you will specify 4, it will create internally 3 topic to do the reattempt. Okay, can you see here? JavaTechie group retry 0. This is one topic. Kafka error handle retry 0, retry 1, retry 2. Can you see here? Now to just visualize it in a better way, what I will do, I will just refresh this Kafka Offset Explorer. Can you see here? This is our main topic or target topic where you want to push the messages and listen to it. Then it created DLT. Can you see here? I cannot maximize this. Let me try. No, I cannot do that. But you can see here, right? Then how many retry topic it created, guys? 0, 1 and 2. So the total count is 3 here, right? That's super, isn't it? Now let's do one thing. Let's quickly test this scenario. Let me restart. Okay, we already restarted it, right? Now I'll go to the Postman. First, let me clear this console. What I'll do, I'll just push the same messages, but I'll just give some valid IP so that I don't want to see any error first time. So just send the request. There is no error. We got the success result. This is the producer log. This is the consumer log. Now let me clear this. Now let's try with one failed scenario. I'll give the IP address which is already restricted in my consumer. Okay, let's change it to. Now let's observe carefully. Let me send the request. See here, it's doing the retry. Then it throw the exception. We'll verify in the log itself. Okay. See here, this is the first time it received. Then it did the 3 times retry. To verify, okay, Vasant, you are just showing the log. How can you get confirm that these 3 log statement being executed from the retry topic? Let me zoom this first. Then what we'll do? Just go here because we are already logging the topic name and offset name, right? What is the topic name here, guys? Kafka error handle retry 0. Kafka error handle retry 1. Kafka error handle retry 2. So it tried 3 times reattempt with 3 different topic. Now again, if you want to check or if you want to validate again, go simply to your topic here. Just open the data. You can see here. Since in the log we found each topic retry topic received the messages from the offset, you can validate that directly in the topic itself. Can you see here? Fine. Now the retry is succeeded. After 3 times it retried, still we are not getting any result. It is failed. Can you see here? Invalid IP address. Because since we are simulating the error scenario forcefully, you will get the error messages. But between that retry, if your DB connection or any AWS specific infra issue is being resolved, then you will get the response. I mean, that is the happy scenario. Since we are getting the error after 4 times retry or after 3 times retry, then where supposed to the message will go? To DLT topic, right? So if you observe here, it created a topic Kafka error handle DLT. Now let's validate message went to this particular topic or not. Just run it. Can you see here? This is the failed event went to the particular topic. But if you'll send the not failed event, I mean not failure scenario payload, let's say 239, I'll keep sending the request. Now if I'll validate in the offset explorer, no record, right? Nothing will come to DLT because only dead letter topic will listen the failed events. That is what we are saying in the code, and there will be nothing in the retry, only one. Good. So it's working as expected, right? Now there is also, you can play with this retriable topic annotation. Now continuously our retry is happening, right? I mean there is no gap. But if you want to set the attempt in every or in some time interval, you can do that. You can simply define backup. Okay, then you can specify the what is the delay you are expecting and what is the multiplier. All these stops you can define. Then what is the max delay, you can define those value. This is the number, not integer. For example, I will just define 3000, I mean 3 second, then multiplier 1.5, and max delay could be 15,000, max 15 second. Now this is how you can define the when you want to do the retry attempt. Not if you don't want to do it immediately. If you want to specify your own time interval, you can define this. Now also you can tell to this retriable topic for what kind of exception you want to perform this retry. Now for runtime exception, if you don't want to perform this retry, what you can do, simply you can define here, please exclude the retry for this exception. What is the exception name? Null pointer dot class. Or I don't want for this runtime exception, right? Runtime exception dot class. You can also control for what exception you don't want to do the retry. Okay, you can exclude them. For this kind of exception, there will be no retry. So it is up to you, based on your need, you can configure it. Fine. So this is how you can override the behavior of this retriable topic. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to produce bulk record and we'll see this particular behavior. Okay, let's go to the publisher. I'll go to the controller class. So I have a CSV file, list of user. Okay, I mean I guess 100 is there. There is total 100 user object. I want to load this CSV file and will convert this particular to list of object, this particular user in CSV to list of user object. Then we'll push one by one to our publisher. Okay, so it's a simple step. I have just written one util class to load the CSV file and convert it to the list of user object. Then what I'll do, I'll go to the controller class. I'll call this method to load the CSV data and convert it to the list of user. Now simply what I'll do, I'll just use users.forEach user object, then simply call this. Now it will trigger 100 event. Out of 100 event in my consumer, I have restricted 4 user IP address. Okay, it means out of 100 row, 100 user object, 4 user will be discarded and will go to the DLT. Okay, when I say DLT, it is dead letter topic. Okay, now if you observe, we have only one record in our Kafka error handle DLT. If I'll run it again, only one record. Now once I will execute this, there should be 4 more record which need to add in this particular topic. Okay, so what we'll do, because see the simple thing guys, whatever the IP I have specified here, see I have taken it from this particular CSV. Okay, all the 4 are there, I took from here only. Now let's do one thing, let's rerun our app. Okay, let me stop this because we need to, it's fine, we can run it. I mean what I supposed to do in the controller class, now I am not giving the input. Even though I am giving that input, it does not make any sense. Anyway, at the end, it will iterate the CSV and will push those messages. What I am giving here is not being pushed. So I am supposed to define a new endpoint saying get or something like that, but it's fine. We can play with the same because whatever the value will give will not be used. So fine, let me clear this. Just go to the postman. This you can give any value. Okay, this is not being used. Send the request. Message published successfully. Now if you'll go and check your console, can you see here? These are the messages from producer. Okay, and if you'll scroll down, these are the messages, right? 1 2 3 4 5. Is there any error? Let's see. Invalid IP address received. It will do the retry. Can you see here? DLT also received some messages, and if you observe here, it did retry. I mean, since there are 100 record, it's not easy to check the log to find out the retry count and its validation. Now to validate in a simple way, see there are lot of error, right? DLT received this. Just verify one thing, how many DLT received messages you have there in your console? 4, right? Because we have only 4 restricted IP address out of 100. Whatever the file we have in the CSV, we have here. Okay, let me show you here. Only 4 user IP address are not correct. So rest others should process the result. Now to validate that, go and check in your Offset Explorer. Just run this. Can you see here? 1 2 3 4 5. This is the first record which we added before executing this bulk record. Then 1 2 3 4 with the same IP address. Take anyone's IP and just check in your CSV. Okay, also check in your consumer whether you have restricted for this user or not. Can you see here? Fine. So whenever you are performing the bulk upload kind of scenario using Kafka, you can do this kind of validation using this retry template. And for failed event, rather than losing those data, better to keep it in some different topic, and you no need to create that topic manually. That will be taken care by Kafka by defining the simple annotation DLT handler that is called dead letter topic. Okay, and everything will be taken care by Kafka, so that you have the failed messages with you. You can play with them or you can investigate with them in future whenever it needed to process those details. So this is how you can handle the error in Kafka using this DLT and retry mechanism. Okay, so do let me know in a comment section if you guys have any doubts. That's all about this particular video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you soon with a new concept.